Hello everybody, this is Ronnie from YouTube, and some developments over the last few days. This is a raw vegan channel and everything, and Don Bennett, who is a kind of well-known speaker, influencer in some ways in the raw food movement, he wants to debate me at a festival about some of the things that we've had an ongoing debate about. And I'm not the only one that disagrees with some of the things that Don says, but it seems like I'm the only one that kind of sees him online and then kind of asks him questions about what he is saying to try and work out where he's getting, his ideas from. And this all goes back to, like, I wouldn't be that bothered because there's a lot of people online saying a lot of stuff and a lot of silly stuff all over the place when it comes to raw vegan diet. And I would ignore it mostly, or sometimes reply to it or whatever. But what the reason that I'm trying to get Don to share where he gets his ideas from, and with some of those ideas still waiting for him to show us, is because of what he has basically said in the past about himself and then about other people. So I'm not randomly trying to pick on him, but holding him to the standard that he has set for himself. So he's basically said in the past that I would go to talks and he would start to say, oh, you've probably heard other raw food educators say this, he'd make some statement, and then he'd say, well, they're not following science and I'm following science and I'm the only, basically almost saying that he was the only one that was, of all the raw food educators, that was really following what science had to say, and kind of suggesting over the years that everyone should follow what he's saying and believe what he's saying to be true, and not only true but scientifically, factually true. And so that's where he's kind of wants to position himself, and he's gone so far with that confidence that he has in his own statements that he's got other speakers thrown out of festivals and attempted to get other people prevented from speaking at festivals due to the fact that he disagrees with what they say, and he claims that what they say is not scientifically true and what he says is, and therefore they are going to hurt people. And he kind of frames it that it's all in this, like, him caring for the audience and the people there and want to make sure they don't come to harm because if they hear some bad information. But really it's nothing to do with that, in my opinion. It's about his own personal ambition, jealousy, and maybe insecurity, I'm not sure. But a number of years ago at Woodstock, he put so much effort into getting Doug Graham removed, and he always makes the point that I'm a student of Doug Graham or he's my mentor or something, and I've never had coaching from Doug Graham. I've never had official mentoring. I've never been to his retreat. I've read his books. I've seen him talk a lot. I've went to festivals to hear him speak and meet him, and I put on the UK festival and brought him there as one of the main speakers. But that doesn't mean that I agree with everything Doug says, or that I think that everything he's, that I just kind of follow what he says about things. But I do think that Doug is one of the best minds when it comes to thinking about this information. And I've not really met anyone that I really think thinks about it better than Doug. I'm not saying that he gets everything right either, but and there's ways that he does the diet and the lifestyle that I wouldn't really follow, but I do consider him as having a good opinion. At the same time, he's never bashing really anyone else specifically, and I don't know. I'm not sure if he's claiming that I'm not sure if he's claiming that he has science and whatever other people don't. I'm not sure, but he's definitely never asked me to prevent Don from speaking at the festival. He's got no problem with Don at all as a person. So I'm not sure why Don has such an issue with it. A lot of people don't like Doug because of personal differences and maybe things that have happened, disagreements, but generally that should really reflect on what the person has to say. So the fact that Don has went to great lengths to bash him, to get him thrown out of the Woodstock Festival, which really only happened because of Doug, and that's something I don't like. Is like other people putting in all this work to build something, and Doug didn't put in the money to put that festival on, but his students, people that he had taught, made up the vast majority of the speakers and the people promoting it. Mike Arnstein, his student, was the person that started it, and Doug was the main speaker, at least in the first year. So you're looking at all that and you're saying, okay, this is Doug has definitely been a big part of that, and then for him to sort of be thrown out and once it's all been built and then you just throw out a person because you don't agree with some of the things they say is a little bit strange, whatever. So basically Don has done all this stuff and is kind of, and also does a lot of articles saying this person's wrong, this statement's wrong, this isn't wrong, and what's strange to me is often he never actually says why they're wrong or what is wrong about what they said or where is the evidence. And so I'm thinking that, okay, when I go to see Don speak, he's going to have all this evidence for what he says because he's getting other people thrown out of events because he's telling everyone that their information is wrong. So let's try and break down some of the things that Don says that are maybe. I'm still wondering if he has any evidence for it, because he claims to, and I'm still waiting for him to provide it. The position that I'm in is that we don't really have any specific evidence for the raw vegan diet for human beings. We don't have a lot. There is some studies and people have had benefits, and there's some studies and like people's blood pressure went down and there's some good signs, but were those people even raw vegan? Were they long-term raw vegan? Were they eating the kind of raw vegan diet that we eat? If you're watching this channel, probably a fruit-based one. I would suggest no. Probably a lot of the time, no. A lot of them weren't actually vegan. If you look in some of these studies, and a lot of them weren't fully raw. So there's not a lot there. We can see examples of people who are raw vegan. We can hear stories, but it's not a high level of science. So I can't go, if I'm being interviewed on the radio or the television, or if I was to be in that position and they say, where's your science to suggest, I can't go down that route of saying science 100% supports a raw vegan diet is the best diet for humans. What I can do is build a case based on different things, but I still have to really say, this is my opinion, this is my idea, and this seems to follow common sense. And we all know that once you cook foods, you're damaging them, you're reducing the nutrition in them. So there's things that we do know that seem to tend to lead towards the raw food diet being a good thing. But ultimately, I've got to say that I'm doing it for me. It's an experiment for me. I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of confirmed in what I'm doing, and I would encourage other people to experiment with it. I think we've got a great deal of science to suggest that a plant-based diet is better. Actually, the mainstream of science in terms of what a diet should look like is actually closer to what I eat than what the average person eats. Let me say that again. The mainstream science of nutrition is showing a diet that is more like what I eat than what anyone else out there eats. Because it almost always says in any textbook you look up, an ideal diet should be abundant in fruits and vegetables. It should be based on carbohydrates. That's two things that my diet match. It should be low in saturated fat. That's another thing that my diet matches. No, low salt or no salt. Probably it says low salt in a lot of these things. So my diet is technically no salt, but low salt, no sugar, no oil, low in saturated fat, basically that's what it says. It says, the one thing it might say is that it should be based on grains, but I just flip that to carbohydrates, and that's fruit. So it's very similar to what I eat. Now, it doesn't say a vegan diet, however, nutrition textbooks now all say a vegan diet, if properly balanced or whatever, is healthy. So the mainstream of scientific nutrition is actually very in alignment, more so in alignment than you realise with the raw food diet, way more than the carnivore diet, the keto diet, all these other diets that people claim are healthy, right? And more in alignment than with a lot of other diets. So that's where I would go, but I'm not here claiming to you that this has been fully scientifically proven. I'm not claiming that, and I've never claimed that, and the UK Festival doesn't claim that. So when someone else says they have all the science and the science supports what they say, okay, well, where is it? Because no one else has got it. Like, no one else has found it. So, but Don says, well, you're looking for a different standard of evidence for your beliefs than my beliefs, and that's not really true, because I'm not claiming that I've got the science for the things that I'm saying. I'm not bringing someone to my festival because they've not got the science. That's not what I'm really looking at. But I do want that information. I do want it to be put across in the correct way, not in the this is scientifically proven, this is whatever. So there's a number of things that Don says, just to get into the things he says. One of the main things he says is that other raw food educators say, as long as you eat enough fruits and vegetables, you don't have to worry about nutrition. And he thinks this is like the worst thing ever, because you do have to worry about nutrition, you still have to think about supplementing, and then Don goes wild on a whole number of supplements that he thinks you should get. And also he recommends that you should have a green powder to kind of ensure yourself. And this all goes back to an idea. So let's start with that statement. Once you have fruits and vegetables, that is a statement made by Doug Graham, and Doug says a lot of the time, you shouldn't be worrying about your nutrition. Your neighbours should worry about their nutrition. The people eating McDonald's should worry about their nutrition. He was making, as far as I'm concerned, he was making a point that people who are eating raw foods shouldn't be so worried about nutrition as others, and yet they're the ones that get sucked into buying supplements, tinctures, herbs, superfoods, and all these things. And you've got to understand the context of Doug, for years and years and years, going to raw food events, raw food festivals, and he's the one person often going up and telling people to eat fruits and vegetables, and everyone else is selling supplements, and everyone else is selling superfoods, and everyone else is saying the things that you have to say to sell supplements and superfoods. And we'll get to that in a second. So he was really making a point. As far as I'm aware, Doug doesn't believe no one ever needs supplements, and there's no need for them. But he definitely doesn't put he doesn't encourage people to use them straight away. He would, as far as I'm aware, treat everyone in a case-by-case basis. Everyone's different in terms of their background, to some degree, their genes, their biology, whatever, but definitely their medical background and what's happened to them. So I've not seen Doug say he doesn't believe in ever taking supplements, and Don brings up this point all the time, that this is as if this is Doug's dogma, as if this is what he believes fully. But the way that I would look at this is, in my opinion, so few people are 100% raw vegan, so few, and of those people who are, they're mostly Doug's students. Most of them are, or they eventually listen to Doug. Like Dan the Life Regenerator, for years didn't go raw, like for 12 years. He wasn't 100% raw. Then he started to come to Woodstock. Then he started to see how people were doing this, and now he's raw. I think, maybe not, but he basically started to eat more fruit and realised you can't just do this fasting thing all the time. You can't just continually try and juice fast, and you have to eat fruit. You have to eat enough calories, which is the trick. So Don was, so anyway, yeah, people eventually listen to Doug. They eventually do that. And this idea that Doug is kind of flippantly saying you never need to take supplements is not true, but you need to look at it from the perspective of how people come into this movement and they're looking for supplements straight away. They're expecting that you need supplements. And they're buying loads of supplements and they're getting crazy on supplements and they get so worried about supplements, and it's not something to worry about. It really isn't something to worry about. There could be specific situations in which you require them. It's not something to concern yourself too much with. And if symptoms arise, you can deal with it. And there's plenty of information out there about supplements and vegan diets and everything else. And so anyway, but what Don's position on all this is based on a factual lie that he doesn't realise is a lie and a con. And it's a shame that he calls himself a researcher, but he's not actually done the research. And when I started to question him on this, I realised he just bought into a lie and hadn't researched it, which was a shame. It's a shame that this guy's been doing this 20 years or 25 years and he can be conned so easily. So the lie goes like this. This is what supplement companies have to say to sell their supplements, which is the food in the supermarket is nutritionally insufficient. The reason for that is that the soil is depleted. The reason for that is because of the intensive farming of farmers and blah, 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 and the neglect of farmers and the neglect of government and so on and so forth. That is not true. Not one part of it's that's true. And it is all a conspiracy theory, a marketing ploy, a con by the supplement industry to sell you bullshit products that don't supply you with nutrition, that have never been proven ever to be a benefit to people. There is no science behind the idea that supplements, pills, vitamins, these things, green powders, there is no science, zero, that these are good for you, that these are a benefit to you, that these, and most importantly, that these are better for you than fruits and vegetables. None. There just isn't. You might find a study that suggests something good, you might see one that says something bad, but if we're talking about what is science saying, there is no guideline about you taking supplements or green powders or pills or vitamins. There's no like, you have to do this. The recommendation for you to get your nutrition is by eating more fruits and vegetables. The idea that the soil is depleted is false. It's just factually false. It is wrong. The idea that the nutrition has went down in food is not entirely true, but not entirely not true. So the reason that nutrition has went down in certain foods, or can be claimed to, is because the varieties that are used are different, because of people's desires for different varieties of food than what people ate 50 years ago. So you look at something that people ate 50 years ago to now, there's a different nutritional balance to it because it's a different variety. And there tends to actually be more carbohydrate. Anyway, this video is going to end, but I think this has been pretty good so far. So we'll put this up and I'll need to get back to this point, and you'll see that in the second video. I don't really want to have to do this and be and show people obvious stuff, but thanks for watching and watch the next video.